Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Have you ever thought of a business that you could do on the road anywhere you want, anytime you want, and make a very healthy income, helping people? Sounds like an ideal, but today's guest, John Chintanaroad, that's a mouthful, and you'll get to hear from him in a second, has created this opportunity not only for himself, but for loads of other people that get to live the dream. And we're going to learn all about that today. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mitch. Excited to be here.
Yeah. And I'm in Thailand. You're in the US. I was born in America, as you were, but you come from Thai parents. So we had a chance to care, to shout about that to each other and share. The world today is global. It truly is, because of the internet, because of the lifestyle of that came out of the pandemic, because people had to start doing business virtually. I mean, it was a blessing in disguise for those of us that choose to live outside of our 9-to-5 confine. And tell us about what you do for people.
Sure. I help people who want to start their own recruiting business and often do it part-time on the side without having to quit their 9-to-5 job until they're ready, right? And business takes off. So what's funny is a lot of people who consider and they're evaluating business opportunities or looking at agencies or e-commerce or something, they always find it's hard to picture themselves with that learning curve, and sometimes it's technical and it just doesn't feel like them, doesn't feel like a solid thing. And recruiting just makes sense to a lot of people. So a lot of times they're not even actually aware that professional recruiters, recruiting firms and agencies, they charge 20% of their candidates' first year base salary as a fee. So if you're my candidate,
that's healthy. That's healthy.
Yeah, because if you are making 100K as the average, candidate I place, and I got you a job at my client, then that client pays me $20,000. And so that's what you get paid to help one person find a job. But so people like the appeal of that, of course, and the overhead cost is very low, but then there's a lot of question marks about how do I get started, get clients, all that stuff. So that's kind of where we come in.
Well, but you get to you help people find a job. You help the employer find an appropriate employee or contract worker. I mean, in making 20%, I had no idea until I met you today that was the commission for retained search. And at one time I was an employee, and I went through a retained search, and I realize now why the recruiter made what he made, and he drove a nicer car than I did. And
he was incentivized to help you and make sure you cross the finish line with an offer in hand.
And he did. Yeah. And I think, don't you have to stay for a certain amount of days before the commission is paid? Or is it, is there a 30-day trial period, or do you?
Yeah, a good question. So the payment term is typically net 30. So if today was your start day and you're my candidate, then I would invoice my client today. Once I confirm you show up to work, everyone's happy, no other surprises, then I invoice the client, and then that invoice is due within 30 days. So net 30 is the typical invoicing terms, but then we guarantee our candidates for the most part within 90 days. So I can say, Mitch, if you work with Mitch, right? Within 90 days, for any reason it doesn't work out, he leaves, you let him go, that we'll do a one-time good faith replacement at no cost. So we back it up. And so if they push back, you always offer a money back guarantee. That's usually fine too. But yes, we make sure they're sticky for at least 3 months. And then at that point,
if I were in the business, I would prefer, we'll replace him for free, because you've already spent the money. You've incurred the overhead costs.
Yes,
all
exactly.
This, you got to feed yourself, and food is necessary. I mean, you look lean and fit, but I like to eat. There's such great food here in Thailand. But it's all right. So you get paid 30 days later after the placement has been employed, and you move
Yes.
forward from there. And
Yeah.
what is the typical amount of employees or executives that people place in a month or in a year? What is the normal expectation?
Yeah. So good question. So yeah, in terms of like general recruiting terminology, yeah, there's different levels to recruiting. We have executive recruiters, like you mentioned, you have a colleague that places like CFOs. Those
Mhm.
executive recruiting um, firms will do very low volume, but they're placing people like $500,000 plus comp package. So they don't have to, let's say you're selling multi-million dollar homes as an agent or in real estate,
Sure,
you don't have to sell that
but
many.
not six
Uh,
percent. It's 20%.
yeah, it gets very expensive because that job is so difficult and long cycles. And that's often kind of where the term retained search comes from because those executive recruiters can ask for payment up front. Would say, hey, to retain me, like you would retain an attorney, you'd pay like a one-third fee up front for me to even begin working, then one-third due upon like a short list I present to you, and then one-third after you make the hire. And so retained search means that you pay a retainer up front. For the most part, though, we always recommend contingency search, which I know you know as well, where you paying me as you're my client is contingent on me actually delivering you a candidate that you offer a job to and they accept.
It's
Right.
a bigger
So
carrot.
it's performance based as well. So because of that, it's fairly straightforward and easy for a company to say, you know what, I'll give you a shot. Why not? Like you know my industry, I like you, and I don't have to pay you unless I hire your person. And there's no upfront commitment, no upfront cost, and you guarantee them for a period of time. Like pretty straightforward value prop, I think, or conversation.
How do you compete with, for example, I saw an ad on Facebook where a company was hiring a copywriter for an organization. And this is before AI came in and pretty much slaughtered the industry
Yeah.
or obliterated it. Is if someone's paid $100,000 as a copywriter, which is not an unreasonable amount, but a little bit
Uh-huh.
high for somebody newer, and the employer or prospective employer was saying, if you refer somebody to us, if we hire him, we'll give you $1,000. How do
Mhm.
you compete with that and come in and say, no, I want 20 grand?
Yeah, good question. That's the exact strategy that most companies have when they're trying to grow. They ask their employees, offer referrals, they tap their network, they post jobs on LinkedIn, Indeed, and they sort through resumes
Right.
to have someone on their team. Uh, those will fill a lot of the easy to fill jobs. Those are not the ones that they paid fees on. They pay fees on the role that's been open for 6 months. They've interviewed people and had some false starts, and now it's causing real problems to the business.
They need that
And
gap filled.
yes, there. So typically, a company would use. It's funny because like when you talk about companies, people say, "Well, why would a big company work with someone like me when they can work with the big agencies out there, the Robert Half, the Aerotics of the
Corn
world,
Ferry.
and Korn Ferry exactly for exec search." And the idea and the reason, if you target companies that are too big, Fortune 1000, let's say, like when I worked at Google, there was a entire building just for recruiting, like as far as I could see, like, all
Wow.
recruiters. So they have an army. So of course, it's hard to offer value when they have so many resources. But on the other hand, if you try to work with small mom and pop shop businesses, they won't be able to afford your fee, or if they do, they hire from you once and never again. They're not really growing that much. But somewhere in the middle, like these small to medium-sized business, that's the sweet spot because they're growing, but they can't afford like a team of internal recruiters yet. So, but they're growing, so it's kind of like awkward stage where they rely on outside recruiters for very specialized, hard to fill roles. So we get the hard stuff because otherwise, it'd be easy. Everyone would do this. It does require skill, so it's not a get rich quick opportunity. It's a real business that requires nuance and
Well,
skill.
you're not selling widgets. If you count people
Yeah,
as widgets, then I guess it
yeah,
is. Yeah, it's a human widget, isn't it?
yeah. Human skills. Yeah.
And so if someone is like you have a program where, like I said, you first person I've run into that actually
hmm
teaches the recruiting business. I guess you have a workshop online program. I don't know. It's a tutoring
Yeah.
mentoring program where people can do this. So I think the eyes got big of the listener when they, oh man, I can get 20%. And I know Joe gets paid 200 grand. That's $40,000 That's a steak dinner or two,
Yeah.
isn't it?
The light bulbs go off for like each of our like client profiles for the agency recruiter who's like compares what they bill for the agency to what little they take home in their paycheck, and they that becomes soul crushing. Then they can do the math. If I just did all my own deals, made my kept the whole thing, I'd be wealthy, right? And the corporate recruiter who's slammed and she's working at like IBM or some or Meta or something, and then they're overworked, underpaid. They can fill above and beyond what they're asked to fill. They won't get paid a dime extra because they're on a fixed salary. So then they're looking for a legit supplemental income stream where they could leverage their skills, but also not get in trouble with their boss. But they see the opportunity there. That's when the light bulb goes off, or they're afraid of like a company hiring freeze and they just get let go. Like, layoffs are happening all the time. And
And they have
when,
kids in school and they get their medical covered.
ugh,
They've got a
yeah,
medical condition, all those it's like, do
it's
you
gone.
risk security and go out and do
Yeah.
that? God forbid I have to call mom for a loan. I mean,
It's
there is,
it's it's insane right now. It's a wild west. Like there is, I have a recruiter told me recently that there is no safe haven for a recruiter for a job because there's no stable job out there. Like those days are gone. So corporate recruiters get it, and then for like people maybe more like you that are industry professionals that don't have a formal recruiting background, they often say that they've helped a lot of their friends get jobs, just making connections in their network because they're a people person, a natural connector. And then somewhere along the way, they realize, wait, professional recruiters are charging $20,000 or more for the exact same service I've been helping my colleagues with that I've been giving away for free. And I'm like, wait, maybe I should consider monetizing this and kind of do what I do, but get paid to do it. Because why otherwise, like, I'm just doing them $20,000 favors. So those are kind of times when they start exploring options, and then we come up somewhere.
what does, just to understand this, because this is a business opportunity, and I think people are leaning in on this. You get the 20% mark. It's like, oh gosh, if I do two of these a month, is that a realistic placement opportunity? Do some of them do that? Or is it, or would they count on one
Uh,
placement a year or one, let's talk volume.
Sure. So typically we see most of our clients make their first placement within the 90 to 120 day mark. So three to
Okay.
4 months. Because if you kind of work that backwards, well, normally they launch and then within 30 days get their first client. And then let's say they have a month or two to fill that role, which is how we got to that 90-day mark. And as you know now, they pay a month later. So month four is usually the earliest most people make. We've had people who come in with more experience that beat that, of course. But yeah, and we've had many people that end up going full time, billing over 500,000 and keeping, all of it. And so it's been fun to see lives being transformed from people that normally came to me saying they're stressed at their job, they hate what they do, they hate the commute, and now they get to just have this location independent life that we talked about earlier, like living in Thailand and doing their own thing, handpicking their own clients, only recruiting for people that they want to recruit for, and then keeping the entire fee that they, they did all the work, so might as well.
Well, there's also a mindset of what I learned because I did have a job. I sought out a recruiter, an executive recruiter during the pandemic because of
Hmm.
what I was doing as a solopreneur for years. All of a sudden came to a screeching halt. I came from the live events business where I was
Uh,
producing live, and that got tanked. I mean, I had no, and I ended up talking to different recruiters, thinking, okay, I need to take a VP of communications job or a VP of marketing or something.
yeah.
I don't want to be a CEO again. I don't want to deal with that headache. And I'm just not a numbers guy, so to speak. And I remember talking to a couple of the retained recruiter guys, and one of them wanted, he says, well, we got to update your resume and my fee is $5,000.
Hmm.
I thought, wow, is that another opportunity to make money? Because he said he wanted to help package me and he wanted 5 grand.
We work with a lot of career coaches, and they kind of like recruiters will think, hey, like I help people with their resume and give them advice. My candidates might as well offer that, but then end up doing a lot of work. That guy's charging obviously a premium. Most of them are doing an
Man,
hourly rate here and there to polish a resume. And they're like, wait, this is not. Why don't I make a placement? Like that's where the real
because I
money
hadn't looked for a
is
job
made.
in I mean, I hadn't been
Yeah,
an employee since I was in my 20s. And I
yeah.
was also thinking, geez, if I have to do this when I'm almost or 60, I was a little bit older
Uh-huh.
and thought,
Uh-huh.
man, am I going to? I needed to work because I was bored and I have to work mentally, but
Yeah.
it was a shocker. I thought, okay, I didn't do it because I ended up the world opened up and I was able to resume doing what I did, thankfully, because I would consider myself unemployable. Now, let's talk about, is this a good job for people who are in retirement and seniors just to supplement their income? Is that another opportunity? Somebody of my demographic?
Yes, we have a lot of people who are, 50s, 60s and beyond. And because I think that's industry agnostic, not just recruiting. I think
Mm.
naturally, when people kind of start to face ageism in the market or are considering semi-retirement, they
Hmm.
look at consulting as a natural transition
Sure.
because they have all this experience and network and they can kind of help out companies. So similarly, this is the exact same thing for anyone that wants to consider consulting and they feel like they're a people person and they would
Hmm.
enjoy helping people find jobs, helping company find hard to fill talent and making an impact and getting paid well, then that attracts those type of people to recruiting.
So the better candidate is someone who's got a little bit of a nest egg, who's willing to make the leap, believes in, has a network, because you've mentioned that word a couple times, or does this on the side while gainfully employed.
Yeah, well over 90% of the people we work with do this part-time on the side while gainfully employed. And they're like, okay, I want to get out of the business. So when people who say that to me, I say, well, cool, let's build the getaway car and earn your right to to resign.
I like that. Get the metaphor of the, yeah, let's build your getaway car. It's
Yep. And yeah, and earn the right. Don't just quit because, suck it up, build the getaway car. It'll motivate you to build it faster. We'll help you. So that's what we always
Well,
advocate.
that was kind of your story, wasn't it? You had a couple clients who said, "Okay, we'll support you, John. We like you," and then that
Yep.
was your landing pad, wasn't it, or soft landing?
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, once I got laid off, my entire division got laid off from a recruiting job I had. It was because of my top two clients that said, "Hey, we'll follow you and uh, we believe in you." And I still remember if it wasn't for those two, Tina and Jeff are their names, if it wasn't for them motivating me, being that external, guiding, nourishing, supportive, nurturing hand, I wouldn't have probably made the leap of leap of faith. So now it's nice to kind of full circle, be that encouraging hand for other people who don't have clients saying, "I'll follow you," right? Like we get to be that supportive guide because it's hard to make a change without, as you know, like an external force. That's why people hire personal trainers and stuff because they kind of, get you to take action whether you feel like it or not.
Oh, personal trainer. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's put in the reps and you understand the concept. You don't get big biceps by thinking about it. You've actually got to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and well, that was the idea initially. Like, we'll show them the exercises to form, and then we'll let them just come to the gym and get results. That worked for a while for like the top 20 percentile of the people who are already high performers, sales background, recruiting background. But the other 80%, like this is one of the mistakes that we were doing at the time was we were a group coaching only. Like, hey, Mitch, sign up. Here's some videos, some PDF files. Wish you best of luck. If you get stuck, we'd come out to one of our group support calls. It was very scalable. I had three salespeople. We grew revenues up, six figures a month in revenue. But then we saw time and time again, people kept getting stuck in the same places. Like they picked the wrong niche, so they're like, they're not seen as a specialist, or they don't pick one at all, right? And people are seeing them as a generalist. Their branding looks off, so when companies look at it, it doesn't have a professional look and feel, so they don't reply back, or their message sounds like every other recruiting vendor that's bombarding that hiring manager that day. Or they try to do the automation thing with LinkedIn automation, which we implement, but they get tripped up in the tech. They push the wrong button they weren't supposed to push, and that grinds to a halt. So we're like, after seeing that for years, we're like, you know what? Forget it. We're just gonna do it for you. So I made a decision to, wind down the old way of doing things and relaunch. From the ground up. And now we're like, hey, we're done for you. We'll build the whole recruiting business for you, help you pick your niche, do your branding. We do it all in-house, and we'll launch your automations. You don't push any button. Like we won't let you break it. This way, we'll build it to spec, to best practices, and then from there, coach you one-on-one to help get you clients, make placements at scale, hire a team, add marketing channels, like lots of ways to grow to $1 million a year, right? So this is $1 million a year opportunity and it's not that many hires if you're doing, 200K salaried employees. Like that's
Two a
not
month.
that big. Yeah, 2 months. We'll get exact two. If you can help two people get jobs a month that are, high level, then $1 million a year actually becomes a true
You
target,
could
not a
almost afford a house in the Bay Area.
exactly right. Or live forever in Thailand, like live like the
Oh
king,
my gosh.
in
Yeah,
Thailand.
that's
Yeah.
serious money here.
Yes, yes.
That's the one thing I'll say about it. When someone gets into this field, like you mentioned, personal trainer or sales background, is that the ideal background for somebody to embark on this, or should they come from HR, which is really a function of human resources by definition?
Yeah, it's a great question. Interesting, HR people are rarely doing this because I think the type of person that falls into HR is a very process driven. They like kind of like dotting their I's and crossing their T's and checking boxes, and following the rules. So for them to like, be edgy and start their own business on the side, like it's a little bit too risky for them. Like that's not right. What we tend to find are people who have I think as long as you're a people person, a bit extroverted, or even if you're introverted, like you feel like you want to help people, you like to connect people. People tell you all the time, "Hey, you're the type of person I go to when I need something. You always know everybody. Like you're always a natural connector." So if you have that plus an entrepreneurial drive, then that's all you need to give this a shot. And of course, to get started, you just need a laptop, a computer, some tools, and kind of know what you're doing. And you can, so you don't need a licensed degree or specialized anything. It's just like go out there and help people find jobs that companies need help with. So kind of
So what
simple
you're
to
offering
understand,
today
right?
is a business opportunity in a box, and you set the whole thing up for them. So they walk in, it's like, here it is. We've helped you define your niche based on your background. For
Yeah,
example, I wouldn't be a great guy for CFOs. That wouldn't be my bailiwick.
yeah,
But
yeah.
finding niches in the background that I have would be appropriate. Is that where you direct somebody? Do they go through an intake so you find out
Uh,
their strengths?
Yeah, actually, I do all the initial calls because I personally want to make sure it's a good fit before I invite anybody to have my delivery team work with them. But
Mhm.
yeah, I talk to everybody, make sure that it's just the right thing for them, that they have the right headspace, the right target. We talk goals, and really get to know their background and what they're looking to do specifically, right? There's no one size fits all like roadmap I can implement. I wish, but everyone's very unique in their situations. And then that way, if they like the roadmap, but they feel like they'd want help implementing it, then usually I talk about how we help. And yeah, I tell people it's not a course, it's not a group coaching program. We do this for you. So there's one-on-one implementation. And that way we make sure everything gets done properly. And there's a real team behind this, right? For example, Jesse Tuggle, my head of client strategy, like my right-hand man, he started his agency in recruiting 3 years ago, scaled it and sold it last April, and exited for 7.5 million. So yeah, and so he's the real deal. He's leading a big recruiting consulting firm now, and but he works with me. So when Jesse works with people, I tell them, hey, like Jesse's not coming from a place of theory when he's telling you what to do. Like it's coming from a been there, done that. And I think the way I evaluate consulting companies or coaching programs is like, what's the quality of people I get to work with? Not the guru, the face of the business, but who's like my account manager? Who's going to be the one that's directly working with me, and are they qualified, or have I done more than they have? And so I brought in Jesse so that way no one can say, oh, like I know more than these guys because you don't. Right, if you're looking to do this at scale.
How are you contending with AI today? Because there's LinkedIn, there's
Mhm.
Indeed, and then there's AI. Or is the
Yeah.
shift finding AI engineers or consultants to come in and help companies? Is that the opportunity or the disdain?
Interestingly, like AI hasn't really affected like the core of our business much in recruiting because recruiting is one of the few businesses, like maybe a therapist or a real estate agent or something, where it's all built around relationships and trust.
Mhm.
And AI right now can't reach out to a a top performing candidate at a competitor of my client and who never takes calls from recruiters, who's not interested in looking at all. And I pique his curiosity and intrigue him and bring him to the table, and he ends up getting hired for my client, and he changes the trajectory of that business forever. that an AI can't do that, right? So that's why we get paid to live in this kind of human, like trust building world. So now there's AI tools to make our day-to-day like admin stuff easier and faster, which is great. But yeah, I think for now it's I'm lucky to have been in an AI kind of insulated industry for now, and it hasn't been decimated like graphic designers or software engineers, copywriters like we were talking about.
Well, is there an opportunity? And I'm trying
Oh yeah.
to
Oh
weave
yeah,
this
yeah.
in for people to take on your services, teach them the whole structure of the business, but placing AI related executives
Yes.
and or people.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
real
That's right.
niche.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of people doing like tech related to AI, so like language learning models, machine learning, all the things that a prompt engineer roles that didn't exist, right, a few years ago.
Exactly. That's a new category. It's
Yeah, it's right, exactly. So there's opportunity there, but for the most part, though, people like it's easy, like you said, look at your relevant background, what you're passionate about, and you probably already have a gut feeling of what industry you want to serve. And regardless of what AI is doing, there's always, I think it's like as long as there's a need, as long as companies rather are competing with each other for the very best talent, I think there's always going to be a need to have people find them that talent, and whoever gets the best candidate fastest wins, regardless of if you're AI or a human being.
well, and I see the opportunities. If you know somebody that is an LLM engineer,
Yeah.
they're easier to place. They're in the driver's seat in terms of picking the opportunity because the demand is so strong right now, I would imagine.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So 100%, like people are making a killing placing AI, yeah, engineers right now.
Cool. Well, John, where can they get in touch with your opportunity?
Sure. Recruitinglaunch.com is our website. So recruitinglaunch.com. And there's videos, there's explainer videos I've recorded that breaks down our process, the team page, and lots of interviews with people across different industries. You can actually choose a drag down menu and pick the industry you're in, your niche, and then just only listen to the relevant stories. So hopefully that inspires you. And of course, there's links to book a time with me if you have some questions. Happy to chat.
Wow. Well, great guest, great opportunity. I think you're on the cutting edge. Like I said, I haven't encountered anybody, at least not in the 200 plus interviews that I've done, that's been anything remotely close to this. And there's always a need to place humans. And I don't think the robots are going
Yes,
to take
sir.
over yet. Skynet isn't here. Uh,
Not yet.
Not
Yeah.
yet. Arnold's
Yeah.
about to sunset.
My kids are screwed. My kids screwed, but we're good for now.
Yeah, well, but they could learn something AI related. I mean, there's always going to
Yeah.
be a need, but I think graphic artists have taken the axe, copywriters have taken the axe,
Oh,
or just
it's
reallocated,
brutal.
and it's just brutal. I mean, even Fiverr, the little site that
Huh?
for small tasks, they tanked.
Wow. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
they've
why hire a
tanked.
VA when an AI can just build that logo for you in 30
Well,
seconds?
in 30
Yeah.
seconds, and also it can write articles for you. All the whole writing articles and press releases in
Yep.
ChatGPT
Yeah.
can do an outstanding job instantly. You don't have to pay for a gig and wait. It's done.
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. I used to pay 5K a month for a copywriter. Then now Claude does that for me for $100 a month. And it's quicker, easier, and I don't
And
have to
Claude
deal
is
with.
great.
Yeah.
Claude is
Yeah.
fantastic. I have Claude and ChatGPT. I use both every day and for
Yeah.
tasks. And it's just like, wow, I'm blown away.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And we're all there. You just have to use the tools correctly. But John, you've been a great guest. Thank you for your time today. And Kap Kun Krap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.